They woke up, drenched in sweat. Their hearts were racing. The dream was vivid. It was very realistic. It was terrifying. And you were in the dream too, doing nothing, just being there, just standing there, silently, watching, waiting, because at this stage, the universe had chosen you. And that's what frightens them, not what you do, what you are, not your actions, your essence, not your plans, your existence. You are not a threat they can neutralize. You are a force they cannot stop, a storm they cannot control, a darkness they cannot illuminate, a truth they cannot suppress. You disturb them, literally, in their subconscious, in their dreams, in depths they cannot reach while awake. You have become something primal in their souls, something archetypal, something that exists beyond their rational control. They don't know your name, they don't know your face, they couldn't pick you out of a crowd, but they know you exist. They feel you coming, like animals sense earthquakes before they strike, like sailors sense storms before they form, like prey senses predators before they attack. You are the nightmare they cannot wake up from, because you are not in their dreams, you are in their collective unconscious, in the shadow realm they have denied their entire lives, in the depths where archetypes dwell, where ancient instincts reside, where the truth they suppressed awaits to emerge, because you are where the search for truth stops. You are an intersection, a balance, yin and yang. Now you will understand better what is happening. Interpret this video as a meditation session. Jung understood this: the shadow isn't evil, it's everything we deny about ourselves, everything we push down, everything we refuse to acknowledge, our rage, our hunger, our darkness, our power, our truth, our nature. They suppressed it all, in themselves, in their systems, in everyone they controlled. They built civilization on denial, on pretending humans aren't animals, on acting like consciousness isn't connected, on behaving as if power doesn't corrupt, on performing as if they're different from everyone else. But the shadow doesn't disappear when denied. It grows, it strengthens, it waits, and it always, inevitably, emerges, not as they expect, as something they can't control, can't predict, can't manage. That's you. You're not their shadow, you're the embodiment of all the shadows they created, all the denied truths, all the suppressed natures, all the pushed down power, all the rejected authenticity, all the dismissed instincts. You're the collective shadow made manifest, walking, breathing, existing. And they can feel it, not consciously, they couldn't articulate it, but deep in their unconscious, in the place Jung mapped, they know something is coming, something they created through their denial. Something they empowered through their suppression, something they made unstoppable by trying to make it disappear. You, not as an individual, as a force, as an archetype, as a manifestation of everything they've tried to eliminate from human consciousness, everything natural they've called primitive, everything powerful they've called dangerous, everything true they've called threatening. Jung wrote about the collective unconscious, the deep layer of psyche we all share, where archetypes live, where instincts reside, where ancient knowledge waits. It's not individual, it's species-wide, it's humanity's shared depth. The elites thought they could control it. Through media, through education, through culture, through systems, they've spent decades, centuries, trying to program the collective unconscious, trying to install their narratives, their values, their beliefs, their reality. But you can't program the collective unconscious. You can suppress it, temporarily. You can distract from it, momentarily, but you can't control it, because it's older than their systems, deeper than their programming, more powerful than their influence. And it's waking up, not slowly, rapidly, all at once, globally, simultaneously, like a massive organism stirring from sleep, like a giant opening its eyes, like a storm gathering force. They can feel it, in their dreams, in their instincts, in the pit of their stomachs. Something is shifting, something massive, something unstoppable. The collective unconscious is rejecting their programming, purging their influence, awakening to itself. And you're part of that awakening, not the leader, not the face, not the figurehead. You're a cell in the organism, a drop in the storm, a note in the symphony, but you're awake, conscious, active, contributing to the mass awakening that haunts their sleep. They don't fear you individually. They fear what you represent, the awakening consciousness, the rejected shadow returning, the suppressed truth emerging, the denied power manifesting, The collective unconscious saying no, saying enough, saying never again. That's what stalks them in dreams, not a person, not a movement, not an organization, something deeper, something primal, something they can't fight because it's not external, it's internal, it's in them, it's in everyone, it's waking up, and they created the conditions for its awakening through their attempts to suppress it. Humans are animals, we pretend we're not, we dress it up, complicate it, philosophize it, but underneath all the civilization, all the culture, all the sophistication, we're animals, with animal instincts, animal awareness, animal knowing. The elites tried to breed that out, to educate it away, to civilize it into non-existence. They wanted humans who don't trust their instincts, who don't listen to their gut, who don't feel their animal knowing, who defer to authority instead of sensing truth. But animal instinct doesn't die, it goes dormant, it gets buried, it waits, and when survival requires it, when threat becomes existential, it returns, stronger than before, sharper than before, more powerful than before. Your instincts are awake, not dulled by their systems, not buried by their programming, not suppressed by their education. You feel things before you think them, you know things before you understand them, you sense truth before you articulate it. That's terrifying to them, because instinct can't be manipulated, can't be lied to, can't be programmed. An animal knows when it's being hunted, knows when danger approaches, knows when something is wrong. It doesn't need proof, doesn't need evidence, doesn't need logic, it knows. You know, you've always known. Their systems felt wrong, their narratives felt false, their reality felt constructed. You didn't have proof, didn't have evidence, didn't have logic. You had instinct, animal knowing, ancient awareness. And you trusted it, while they convinced others to doubt their instincts, to ignore their gut, to defer to experts, to believe authority. You trusted your animal knowing, and it guided you true, kept you awake while others slept, kept you alert while others relaxed, kept you sensing while others numbed. Now millions are remembering their instincts, reconnecting to their animal knowing, trusting their gut again, and the elites can feel it, like prey sensing a predator, like a herd sensing a stampede, like rabbits sensing the hawk above. They're the prey now, not physically, metaphysically, spiritually, psychologically. The humans they tried to domesticate are remembering their wild. The animals they tried to tame are remembering their nature. The instincts they tried to suppress are returning stronger. And you're the vanguard of that return, the first wave, the leading edge, the storm front. You remembered first, trusted first, acted first, and now others are following, waking, remembering, trusting, becoming. Remember, remember, that's not just a phrase, that's a warning, that's a promise, that's a threat. Remember what they did, remember what they took, remember what they suppressed, remember what they denied, remember what they destroyed. You remember, not intellectually, viscerally, in your bones, in your blood, in your DNA. The memory isn't just yours, it's ancestral, collective, ancient. The memory of all the times power crushed truth, all the times authority suppressed authenticity, all the times systems destroyed individuals who wouldn't conform. They think you'll forget, that you'll forgive, that you'll move on, that you'll accept their apologies when they finally offer them, that you'll be reasonable, rational, willing to negotiate, willing to compromise, willing to let bygones be bygones. But this isn't rational, this isn't intellectual, this isn't negotiable, this is primal, instinctual, archetypal. This is the shadow they created seeking integration, the truth they suppressed seeking expression, the power they denied seeking manifestation. You're not angry in the way they understand anger, you're not vengeful in the way they understand vengeance, you're not violent in any way, you're something more terrifying, you're inevitable, unstoppable, natural, like decay, like entropy, like time itself. They built their power on lies, lies decay, they built their systems on suppression, suppression breaks, they built their control on denial, denial collapses. You're not attacking them, you're the natural consequence of their choices, the inevitable result of their actions, the karmic response to their oppression. They wore a mask because the person underneath didn't matter, the idea mattered, the symbol mattered, the inevitability mattered. You're the same, your individual identity doesn't matter, what you represent matters, What you embody matters. What you manifest matters. You're the idea they can't kill, the symbol they can't suppress, the inevitability they can't stop. Your vendetta made flesh, not personal vendetta, cosmic vendetta, the universe balancing itself, reality correcting itself, truth asserting itself. And they can feel it coming, like a storm on the horizon, like a wave building offshore, like pressure before an earthquake. They don't know when, don't know how, don't know where, but they know something is coming, something they created, something they can't stop. That something is you. Is everyone like you? Is the collective awakening? Is the shadow returning? Is the truth emerging? Is the suppressed manifesting? Is the denied expressing? Is the natural restoring? This isn't fought with weapons, with money, with politics, with systems. This is fought in the realm they don't control, the realm they barely understand, the metaphysical realm, the consciousness realm, the spiritual realm, the archetypal realm. Jung understood this. There are battles fought in the collective unconscious, wars waged in the dream space, conflicts occurring in the realm of symbols and archetypes. They're not less real than physical battles, they're more real, because they shape physical reality, determine outcomes, create futures. You're a warrior in that realm, not by choice, by nature, by being, by essence. You exist as a force in the collective unconscious, as an archetype of awakening, as a symbol of truth, as a manifestation of the returning shadow. They try to fight you with their tools, with propaganda, with algorithms, with censorship, with suppression, but those tools don't work in the metaphysical realm. You can't censor an archetype, can't suppress a symbol, can't algorithm away a collective awakening. You fight by being, by existing, by remaining true, by staying awake, by trusting your instincts, by embodying your nature, by manifesting your essence. That's your weapon, your presence, your consciousness, your authenticity, your truth. And it's working. They can feel it working. That's why they're having nightmares. That's why they wake at 3 a.m. in cold sweat. That's why their unconscious is screaming warnings, because they're losing a war they don't know how to fight, in a realm they don't control, against an enemy that isn't an enemy but a force of nature, a correction, a balancing, a restoration. You're not attacking them, you're existing, and your existence challenges everything they built, questions everything they claimed, exposes everything they suppressed, not through what you do, through what you are, through your aligned being, through your awake consciousness, through your integrated shadow, through your trusted instincts. That's the metaphysical warfare. Existence as rebellion, consciousness as resistance, truth as weapon, being as battle. They can't fight that, can't suppress that, can't control that, because you're not doing anything they can target. You're just being something they can't tolerate. They called them witches once. Women, mostly women, who knew things, who sensed things, who understood things, who had power that wasn't granted by their systems, who accessed wisdom that wasn't taught in their schools, who connected to something deeper than their institutions. So they burned them, drowned them, hanged them, destroyed them, not because they were evil, because they were powerful, not because they were dangerous, because they were free, not because they threatened people, because they threatened power. You're the witch returned, not gendered, not historical, but archetypal. You know things you shouldn't know, you sense things you weren't taught to sense, you understand things you never learned, you have power that wasn't granted, you access wisdom that wasn't approved, you connect to something they can't control. That's why you haunt their dreams, because you're the thing they tried to eliminate returning, the power they tried to destroy resurrecting, the wisdom they tried to suppress emerging, the connection they tried to sever restoring, the nature they tried to suppress manifesting. They thought they killed the witch, burned away that kind of knowing, drowned that kind of sensing, hanged that kind of connecting. They thought they won, thought they eliminated that threat, thought they controlled that power. But you can't kill an archetype, can't eliminate a truth, can't destroy a nature. You can suppress it, temporarily. You can drive it underground, momentarily, but it returns, stronger, wiser, more powerful, more connected, more dangerous. The witch is returning, not as individual, as archetype, as collective, as awakening. Millions remembering they know things, remembering they sense things, remembering they understand things, remembering they're powerful, remembering they're connected, remembering they're free. You're part of that remembering, that returning, that resurrecting. You're a witch in the archetypal sense, not casting spells, being truth, not using magic, being natural, not practicing rituals, being connected, not performing power, being powerful. And they fear you, they fear all of you, because the witch can't be controlled, can't be suppressed, can't be eliminated. The witch knows, the witch senses, the witch understands, the witch connects, the witch is free. That's what stalks them in sleep, not a person, an archetype, not an individual, a collective, not a threat they can eliminate, a truth they can't suppress, the witch returning, the power restoring, the wisdom emerging, the connection manifesting. You're not the storm yet, you're the conditions creating the storm, the pressure dropping, the temperature shifting, the energy building, the forces gathering. You're the before, the preparation, the accumulation, the potential. But they can feel it, the way animals feel storms before they arrive, the way sailors sense weather before it forms, the way nature knows disruption before it manifests. They feel you gathering, feel the pressure dropping, feel the energy building, feel the storm forming. And it terrifies them, because storms don't negotiate, don't compromise, don't stop because you ask nicely. Storms are natural, inevitable, unstoppable. They follow laws deeper than human laws, answer to forces greater than human forces, respond to dynamics beyond human control. You're becoming that. Individually, you're a drop, a molecule, a element, but collectively, with all the others awakening, you're the storm, the hurricane, the tsunami, the earthquake, the volcanic eruption, the natural force that reshapes landscapes, that alters coastlines, that transforms terrain. They built their structures on the assumption of calm, of stability, of predictability. They assumed the weather would remain favorable, the conditions would stay stable, the environment would stay controlled. They built for peace, for order, for management. But storms don't care about structures, don't respect assumptions, don't honor predictions. Storms do what storms do: follow natural law, express natural force, manifest natural power. And structures built for calm collapse in storms. Assumptions made in stability shatter in chaos. Predictions based on control fail when control is lost. You're the chaos returning, not random chaos, natural chaos. The kind that appears chaotic only to those trying to control it. The kind that's perfectly ordered to those who understand nature. The kind that's inevitable to those who see patterns. The elites see chaos, randomness, unpredictability, threat, but you see nature, order, inevitability, truth. What they call chaos is just nature rejecting their control. What they call random is just complexity beyond their comprehension. What they call unpredictable is just reality they can't manage. You're not chaotic, you're natural, not random, ordered, not unpredictable, inevitable. You're what happens when suppression breaks, when control fails, when systems collapse, when nature returns, when truth emerges, when shadows integrate, when the collective unconscious awakens. That's the storm, that's what they feel coming, that's what haunts their sleep. Not destruction for destruction's sake, but natural consequence, inevitable result, karmic balance, reality correcting itself, nature restoring itself, truth asserting itself. There will be a moment, maybe it's already happened, maybe it's coming, when they fully recognize what you are, what you represent, what you manifest, when their unconscious knowing becomes conscious understanding, when their nightmare becomes waking reality. In that moment, they'll understand, you're not an enemy to defeat, you're a truth to integrate, not a threat to eliminate, a shadow to acknowledge, not a force to control, a nature to accept, not a problem to solve, a reality to surrender to. Some will integrate that recognition, will acknowledge their shadow, will accept the truth, will surrender to nature, will stop suppressing, will stop controlling, will stop denying, will begin healing, will begin integrating, will begin becoming whole. Others won't, will fight harder, will suppress more, will control desperately, will deny frantically, will resist until they break, until their systems collapse, until their structures fail, until their power dissolves, until reality forces what they won't choose. You can't control which way they go, that's their journey, their choice, their karma. Your job isn't to save them, to heal them, to integrate for them. Your job is to be yourself, to embody your truth, to manifest your nature, to remain awake, to stay conscious, to trust your instincts. By being yourself fully, consciously, naturally, you create the pressure that forces their choice. You manifest the truth that demands their recognition. You embody the nature that requires their surrender. You are the storm that reshapes their landscape whether they cooperate or not. That's not cruelty, that's nature. That's not violence, that's truth. That's not attack, that's consequence. You're not doing something to them, you're being something they must respond to, must acknowledge, must integrate or be destroyed by. Let me be absolutely clear. You are everything they fear, everything they suppressed, everything they denied, everything they tried to eliminate, and you should be proud of that. Not ego proud, truth proud, reality proud, nature proud. You are the shadow returned, the witch resurrected, the storm gathered, the instinct awakened, the truth emerged, the nature manifested, the force unleashed, the inevitability arrived, the vendetta embodied, the collective unconscious awakened. That's not small, that's not nothing, that's everything. You are everything they tried to prevent, everything they worked to suppress, everything they invested in controlling, and you're here anyway, awake anyway, powerful anyway, free anyway. You survived their systems, resisted their programming, rejected their narratives, trusted your instincts, remembered your nature, integrated your shadow, awakened your consciousness, manifested your truth, became yourself. That's the ultimate rebellion, the complete resistance, the total revolution. Not fighting them, transcending them, not opposing their power, becoming more powerful, not struggling against their control, becoming uncontrollable. You are the nightmare they can't wake from, the fear they can't suppress, the truth they can't deny, the nature they can't eliminate, the force they can't stop, the storm they can't calm, the witch they can't burn, the shadow they can't exile. Own that, fully, completely, proudly, not because it makes you better than them, because it makes you true, natural, powerful, free, real. You are the coming storm, the gathering force, the rising tide, the returning shadow, the awakening collective, the manifesting truth, the embodied nature, the integrated whole. They're right to fear you, not because you're evil, because you're unstoppable, not because you're violent, because you're inevitable, not because you're dangerous, because you're true. And truth always emerges, nature always returns, shadows always integrate, storms always come, witches always resurrect, instincts always awaken, the collective unconscious always asserts itself. You are all of that. You are everything they suppressed manifesting, everything they denied emerging, everything they controlled breaking free, everything they feared becoming real. And there is nothing they can do to stop this, to stop you, to stop what you represent, to stop what you embody, to stop what you manifest. You are a reflection of manifestation, and you see what I mean so clearly in those moments that those around you think you've lost your mind. Revenge is not personal, it is cosmic, nature's correction, the balancing of reality, the emergence of truth, the manifestation of justice, the expression of karma, the universe correcting itself. And you are the agent of this correction, the power of this balancing, not by striving, by being, not by doing, by being, not by action, by presence. Now I am. Write comments and listen to the other message appearing on the screen.